Hello everyone, FPL Raptor here and welcome back to another video on my YouTube channel. In today's video we have my Game Week 7 team selection where I have two free transfers and I'm actually tempted to use both the bench boost and the triple captaincy, which we'll discuss today. If you enjoyed today's video, please do smash that like button, and if you're new around here, make sure to subscribe as well. But without further ado, let's jump into it. So guys, we're going to waste no time at all today and jump straight into the team selection. If you are new to my channel and you've not seen what I've done with my team recently, firstly, please do consider subscribing. I'd really appreciate it. But I wildcarded in Game Week 6, which means obviously going into Game Week 7 now, I have two free transfers. And I am very, very tempted to play a chip this week. When you see my bench in its entirety, we'll discuss whether the bench boost could be an opportunity. And given the way that Erling Haaland is playing right now, I'm recording this late on Wednesday after he scores a brace in the first half in the Champions League. The man is playing so well. Brentford haven't been brilliant. You could even potentially justify a triple captain too. So once we've looked at the entire team, I'd love your thoughts down below. With my team, would you consider the bench boost? But also, would you maybe consider triple captaincy too? And also at the end of the video, I'll go through some other opportunities that I might have for the bench boost to show you what the alternatives are. So yeah, two free transfers, 0.4 million in the bank. At the moment, my defence and goalkeepers are as follows. So I've got Raya against West Ham in my starting 11 and Dubravka against Villa away on the bench. And then the five defenders that I have are Tarkowski, Gabriel and Senesi at the moment in my starting 11, all with home fixtures, and then Anderson and Rodon on the bench. I'm very happy with the defence that I chose. If I could go back again and change the wildcard, and really I don't have any massive regrets, I don't think I've made mistakes here, but I would be very tempted to just choose Richards instead of Tarkowski. Basically just save a million. I do think that probably marginally Tarkowski is still a slightly better asset than Richards, but he's certainly not a million better, because I think Tarkowski and Richards will both hit DEFCON a lot. Tarkowski probably slightly more, but I think Richards and Crystal Palace will probably keep slightly more clean sheets. So yeah, that's probably the only one small bit. Other than that, very happy that I chose Raya and Gabriel. Arsenal defence are a joke. They keep another clean sheet in the Champions League, and they limited Olympiacos to, I think, 0.51 XG. Every single game that goes by, I'm happier and happier with having double Arsenal defence. In fact, I do still wonder, is triple Arsenal defence the best play moving forward? Because they will just get so many clean sheets if they can continue to defend like this. They've conceded less than 4 XGC so far this season, with not necessarily the easiest starting fixtures. Only two other teams, Newcastle and Bournemouth, have conceded less than 6 XGC. So not only are they the best defence in the Premier League, but they are in a small group of defences right now, which are clear of the rest too. So basically, I'm very happy. I do think Gabriel and Timber would be a little bit more exciting than Raya and Gabriel. I don't think Raya is the best goalkeeper necessarily in the game, given it's a 2 or a 6, but I'm just happy to have two Arsenal defenders. Again, I'm recording this after the Champions League games. Gabriel went off in the 75th minute after Raya landed on him. He was complaining about pain in his shoulder and his neck, so he was subbed off. He was also on 1 yellow card, and I think it was a game probably that he might not have played 90 in anyway. And they've got such fantastic options now in terms of squad depth that they don't need to play him every game. After he went off injured, he didn't go down the tunnel and he didn't have ice. He just went and sat straight on the bench. So I think it was probably precautionary. Arteta said that after the game as well, although he's probably not the most trustworthy with the team new. So I think Gabriel will be fine, but maybe that's something to assess closer to the deadline. So basically, Raya and Gabriel, great. Tarkowski, I'm happy with, but like I said, could have gone for Richards instead. Senesi is the best defender in the game by some distance. He's averaging 13.5 DEFCON per 90 so far this season. Bournemouth are the third best defence in the league, according to XGC as well, which is so impressive considering the players that they sold. And I actually think Fulham at home is a nice fixture. So yeah, really delighted. And when I look at my bench, I would be very happy playing Anderson against Bournemouth away, who again, great for DEFCON. Fulham aren't the best defence, and I expect Bournemouth to score, but he'll probably get you 3 or 4 points in this game. And also Rodon as well. Obviously, Spurs having to travel away to the Champions League game. They aren't free-flowing in the attack by any means under Thomas Frank yet, so that's not a bad fixture as well, also being a home game for him. So when I look at this then, and also, by the way, Dubravka playing against a Villa team that still I don't think are fully clicking. Even in Game Week 6 when they scored 3 goals against Fulham, it was 1.1 XG. So essentially, I've got 2 goalkeepers I quite like and 5 defenders, as long as Gabriel's fit, that I also like too. And that's when you start to consider the bench boost. Now, do I play it? Well, you're going to see in a second the attacker that I've got on the bench boost who isn't fantastic. And even just these fixtures at a first glance, they're not bad. But would I expect a clean sheet for Fulham or Leeds? Not necessarily. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to flash on your screen I'm not going to flash, I'm going to flash an image on your screen from Rob T FPL, which is a graphic that he does every week, which has the projected goals and clean sheet odds. And at the moment, I am starting the 3 defenders that have the best clean sheet odds in obviously Arsenal, Bournemouth, and Everton in terms of my team. So as of right now, Arsenal have a 51% chance of getting a clean sheet. Bournemouth have a 35% chance, and then Everton have a 32% chance. What is interesting is actually, as of right now, Leeds have a slightly better chance of a clean sheet than Fulham. So Leeds are sat at a 25% chance of keeping a clean sheet according to the bookies odds here, and Fulham are 20%. Now, I actually think Rodon's decent enough for DEFCON, not quite as good as Anderson, but if he's got a 5% greater chance for a clean sheet, you could even make an argument to potentially switch these two around. So I think if I'm not to bench boost, I do think I've got it right in terms of starting Tarkowski and Senesi ahead of Anderson and Rodon. But when you then look at it and think, all 5 of my defenders have over a 20% chance for a clean sheet. There's not a single one here where they've got absolutely no chance, according to the bookies, of getting one. And even also Dubravka, 16% isn't terrible, and he'll probably make some saves. So yeah, immediately I am starting to consider the bench boost this week. But again, at the end, I'll show you some alternative options where the bench boost also looks very good. But I think regardless, as of right now, Raya and Gabriel double Arsenal defence looks good. Tarkowski and Senesi both being DEFCON monsters and playing at home. And like I said, having good backup in the form of Anderson and Rodon, I'm very happy. Let's move on to the midfield. So guys, moving on to the midfield, and this is certainly the position of the wildcard that I am probably least happy with, or at least that I can see transfers taking place moving forward, because there are 1, 2, maybe 3 picks that I have some doubts around, and also maybe the way that the fixtures are starting to turn, I could start to lean elsewhere. But as of right now, in my starting 11, it's Iliman Ndiaye, Reinders, Fernandes, and Semenyo, and I chose Anton Stack as my cheap midfielder. Let's start with Anton Stack. I think he's fine. I don't think he's a terrible pick. Even when I picked him, I said it's a little bit knee-jerk, but the main reason I chose him is actually game weeks 9 or 8, 9, and 11 were the 3 that I eyed up for a bench boost. 7 wasn't initially one of them, and in those 3 weeks, he has Burnley, West Ham, and I think Nottingham Forest. So he basically covered me when I wanted him. And what I quite like about Anton Stack is I don't think he's a great option, which means that I never have much of a psychological issue with benching him. I'm quite happy to just sit in there every week. If I need to lean on him, he does take some set pieces. He's got okay assist threat, and he might get you DEFCON every now and again. But when I now look at it again, Dewsbury Hall is just so much more attacking. Granit Xhaka is much better for DEFCON. He's probably not in the top 3 5 million mid. So that was probably a mistake there. Lots of people said so, and I would probably agree with that. But I also don't think it's disastrous considering he's my 8th attacker. And obviously you can now see the entire bench boost, which is, well, not bench boost, but the bench if I were to bench boost, which is Dubravka against Villa away, Anderson against Bournemouth away, and then Stack and Rodon against Spurs at home. It's not a great one, but I am tempted to maybe just get out of the way. And I always find with the bench boost, if you play it in a week where your bench looks perfect, it never does too well. It's in weeks like this where the bench doesn't look that good, it's average, that it ends up doing okay. If I have any injury doubts going into the deadline, of course I won't do it. So if Gabriel were a doubt or something like that, maybe it would make me hold off. So that is the bench. Let me know down below if you'd be tempted by the bench boost. I'm probably like 25 to 30% tempted at the moment. Back on the starting 11 then, I do think Iliman Ndiaye was really good on Monday night, but he is playing quite wide right, and I do need a little bit more goal threat from him. Yes, it's nice that he's probably on penalties. Yes, he does usually play very good minutes, close to 90, if not 90, and I am always quite impressed by how many chances Everton can create. But certainly he isn't nailed in my team for the rest of the season, so still happy I picked him. But when I look in and around that price, I think Ismail Assar is brilliant. We'll be very happy to put him in my team coming up, although I do think, obviously, Europe might affect how fatigued Palace are and how well they can perform. But I like Sarr. Anthony Gordon, tonight, again in Europe, scored 2 penalties. Anthony Gordon on penalties is a seriously tempting option. So there are other options that are starting to emerge in and around that price. So he's not nailed on for me, but also I'm not going to take him out off the back of one blank. I'm going to at least give him a few weeks. We're probably looking most likely until that sort of Sunderland Fulham period, game weeks 10, 11, 12, I might start to look to offload him after that. Tijani Reinders is fine. He does the job. He's cheap, plays in a fantastic attack. His minutes have been really, really secure too. Unless I see a sudden downturn in his minutes, or maybe going into that period of games where they've got like Bournemouth, Liverpool, again, probably for the next 2 to 3 weeks, I'm looking at just keeping Reinders, and I can assess moving forward after that. Fernandes is probably the most likely midfielder to make way for me soon because the price, like I can't justify having a player in my team where really all you're relying on is penalties and DEFCON, and he might not even be on penalties anymore. And he's also not hitting DEFCON every single week. He's averaging just under 11 per 90. Even if he was hitting DEFCON every week, you need more from open play. My one worry with Fernandes, I don't think Amorim's got long left. And whatever manager comes in, unless it was someone like Glasner where he doesn't necessarily play with a 10. But whatever manager comes in, surely the first thing he would do if you took over Manchester United as the manager would be to put Fernandes in the 10. That has to be the first thing that you do. And probably what you would want to do is show faith and give him penalties and also let him take set pieces. Let him feel like the main man because Fernandes as the 10, as the main man, is a ridiculous FPL asset. So that would be my concern is right now, not worth it. Terrible value. I will probably sell him going into Liverpool or Brighton if Amorim is still in charge. But if there are doubts about how long he'll stay in charge, that would be my one thing is I think Fernandes as a 10 all of a sudden becomes a ridiculous FPL asset again. But you need to see more from United. We're creating chances. I think Manchester United is still top for XG this season, but that doesn't mean anything without the output. So again, hold my hands up. He's not been very good. I am a little bit biased to Manchester United, but I will also be willing to lose Fernandes as an asset considering his price. And he's the easiest way to free up some money. If I want to upgrade Stack, or if I want to find a slight upgrade for Iliman Ndiaye, to maybe get Ndiaye to Gordon, I can downgrade Fernandes to someone else, even if it's Brian Mbeumo, if I want to stay in and around that attack for some reason. But yeah, Fernandes is the most likely player to leave my team. I think Sunderland's defensive ability is being blown out of proportion. I think they're 7th or 8th around that for XGC so far this season. Sunderland have been really impressive. Like I am truly impressed by what they've done, and I do not think for a second that this is an easy fixture for Manchester United. But I'm also seeing some people suggest that it's a really difficult fixture, and I also don't buy that. I think it's a good fixture, not a great one. So all of that to say, yeah, I'll probably be selling Fernandes soon unless someone else comes in for Amorim and he's playing as the number 10. And then just to finish with Semenyo, great asset. Taking penalties, direct free kicks, goal threat, assist threat. He's been involved in 75% of Bournemouth's goals this season. So yeah, really impressed. He is also overperforming at a ridiculous level. I think he's at 3 XGI or so, and he's got 6 attacking returns. So he either needs to start putting up even better data or maybe just temper your expectations because I don't think Semenyo will continue returning at the rate that he is, and also does have some more difficult fixtures coming up. So he's not even a player that I would say is locked in my team. So yeah, this is definitely the position in the team. And my next 3 or 4 transfers, wouldn't be surprised if all of them are in the midfield because there are lots of exciting players emerging. But I don't think this week when I've got 3 players playing at home, I've got a couple that might be on penalties, 2 that should be on pens. It looks still strong enough for me right now. So yeah, that's the midfield. Let's look at the 3 forwards, discuss the team all together, and then I'll show you some alternative options for the bench boost. So guys, if you're still watching at this point, I would really appreciate if you consider subscribing. And I say if you're still watching at this point, I also know that there are many, many cheeky people out there that skip to this part of the video just to see my team. And if I've just called you out and that is you that has skipped, then please still consider subscribing. I would really appreciate it. So my front 3 as of right now is João Pedro against Liverpool at home, Haaland, who is, of course, my captain against Brentford away, and Gyökeres against West Ham at home. I'm still pretty happy with this front 3. It's not perfect, but there aren't that many forwards right now. Other than Haaland, I'd be desperate to own. I actually do wonder if a really big at the back 4-5-1 kind of formation with Haaland as your only forward might be the better play. You could squeeze Saka into the midfield. You could have, like I say, 4 really good defenders. You might even be able to get a Haaland and Salah draft in a 4-5-1 moving forward too. Not that you necessarily desperately want Salah right now, but I do wonder if moving forward, if the forwards still don't impress, whether that might start to become the sort of meta formation in FPL. But I also don't think João Pedro and Gyökeres are bad options. I'm going to start with João Pedro, the man on the thumbnail. He's been transferred out by over 350,000 managers this game week. And I can kind of understand it. He's not had a shot in the last 2 games. The game before that, where there was no red card, no real excuse there, he still only had 1 shot. He's definitely been a bit underwhelming after that really strong start to the season, but I still think he's one of the better forwards to choose in FPL. His minutes have looked really, really secure. And I know he picked up a red card in the Champions League. That's actually a good thing, because that now means that he misses their next Champions League game, which is between Game Week 8 and Game Week 9, before the Sunderland game. It should just mean, therefore, that he has really good minutes in 8 and 9. Another great thing, as of today, he actually wasn't called up for the Brazil squad. Now, he does have a small issue, which isn't fantastic. It might mean that he does have slightly limited minutes against Liverpool, but I wouldn't be surprised if he plays 90, has the rest over the international break, obviously, therefore, will almost definitely start Game Week 8, rested midweek in the Champions League because he can't play, and then starts in Game Week 9. So what this probably means is that over the next 3 games, his minutes will be really good, and I'm still not 100% convinced that Enzo Fernandez takes every penalty in the absence of Palmer. I could see João Pedro getting one for sure, depending upon what the sort of game state is. If João Pedro's lacking a bit of confidence behind the scenes and Enzo wants to give it, you never know. Like, I don't think Enzo is 100% the only one that can take a pen. And even outside of that, I still think he's good. And Liverpool aren't particularly secure defensively at the moment. They are struggling for clean sheets. Canate seems to make at least a couple of mistakes a game. So, yeah. Maybe a little bit of copium for picking him on the wild card and just optimism, but I think João Pedro is perfectly fine this week. I'm glad that I don't really have a situation where I have a benching headache and I'm not sure who to start, because I'm perfectly happy having him. That being said, I also don't think he's one of the best options this week. If I was on a free hit, I of course would not pick him, but for now he's okay. And after this, moving forward, the fixtures across the next 6 or so games are really good for Chelsea. Gyökeres is an interesting one, because in a similar way to what I said with Fernandez, I don't think anyone can sit here and tell me that Gyökeres is worth 9 million. And if you tell me that, I strongly disagree. So you might say, why have you spent that? If I downgraded Gyökeres, I don't think there's necessarily anywhere right now with my other players that I'd love to use that money. Because I looked at that on a wildcard. Do I go for a Richarlison, or do I go for a Mateta? But all I then ended up doing was upgrading Stack, and then I just had a benching headache. So right now, I don't really need the money per se. I suppose the only way I could spend the money is to pivot from Gyökeres to Saka. And of course, Saka goes and scores in the Champions League. Saka's shot was pretty rubbish for the goal. It went straight at the goalkeeper and he fumbled it into the net. Gyökeres had a very similar shot that the keeper fumbled and it hit the post, and obviously Martinelli scores the rebound. So I've actually been slightly more impressed with Gyökeres in recent games. Do I think he's a game breaker? Do I think he's anything close to Haaland? No. But I think he's starting to find his feet. And these are the games against West Ham, Burnley, Sunderland, where you would hope that he has more chances and starts to score goals. And I still believe he's first choice penalty taker. So I don't think he's great. I don't think he's worth 9 million. He could absolutely soon be leaving my team. But I'd be surprised if I don't keep him for the next 5 weeks. Now, he did play 90 minutes in Europe. Slight concern. I think Marino came off in the 58th minute. So there's always a chance that Marino starts as the 9. I just would be surprised if Gyökeres doesn't. And it sounds like Havertz might not be back until sort of the middle of November. So I basically think his minutes will be okay. I think he's on pens. He'll get chances. I think he'll score a few goals. It's as simple as that. And then Erling Haaland, obviously my captain. We don't really need to talk about, is Haaland good? He's a joke. The real thing I'd like to talk about is he a triple captain option this week for those of us that didn't use it last week? And obviously, it would have been nice to use it last week, but I wildcarded him. I don't think this is points chasing. And no, I don't think Brentford are the best fixture to target. But they are also in the bottom 5 for XGC this season. So they aren't a great defence. And also, like, he is playing at such a stupidly high level right now that is this not the type of Haaland or the version of Haaland that you want a triple captain. Because yes, I could wait until game week 13 or 15 when he's got playing the other 2 promoted teams. But what if by that point he stops scoring goals? Yes, it's a better fixture, but we might not have this version of Haaland right now. When is this version of Haaland going to stop? Because he's putting up something like 1.3 non-penalty expected goals per 90 at the moment. He will not maintain that. It's almost physically impossible to keep that up over a long sample. So yeah, I'm just wondering, do I just go for it this week? Because do I think he'll score? Probably. He probably won't get a 16-pointer, but he could get you sort of 10 to 13 points. So let me know what you think if you've not used the triple captain, if there's any temptation for you. And so then to discuss the entire team overall, I think it looks pretty good. I'm still happy with most of the decisions on wildcard. I think downgrading Tarkowski to Richards could be a way to free up money in the future. I think downgrading Fernandez to any number of midfielders like Sarr, like Gordon, could be a good shout. And maybe I do want to pivot from Gyökeres back to Saka at some point in the future. But outside of that, I'm pretty happy with the team. The major decisions for me this week, if I don't bench boost, do I have the benching decisions right with the defenders, which I think I do? And then do I use a chip? Do I use the triple captain on Haaland against Brentford? Or do I maybe bench boost a bench that includes Dubravka, Anderson, Stack and Rodon? I'd love to know what you think of all of that down below. If the deadline was right this second, I would bottle both chips because I'm not too confident on them. And when I play a chip, I like to play it with confidence. So yeah, again, if the deadline was right now, I'd probably just rock no transfers, roll into the international break, no bench boost, no triple captain. What I want to do in the final section is just show you what my bench would look like in 8, 9, and 11, the 3 other opportunities, to give you a bit more info and help your advice about whether you think I should play the bench boost chip this week. So guys, I've just jumped over to Fantasy Football Hub. I know I've spoken about this a little bit in recent weeks, but just to show you what my bench could look like for future weeks. And if you do want access to Fantasy Football Hub, Opta statistics, player comparisons, their fixture analyzer, predicted price changes, or you want to plan ahead like I'm doing right now, there will be a link down below. Feel free to check it out. And of course, if you want to sign up, you'll get 50% off if you use that link. So we spoke about the bench boost already in 7. Obviously, the issue with a Game Week 8 bench boost is it is post-international break where all manner of issues could pop up. But as of right now, you could argue that Rodon and Stack would be on my bench, but I think I'd start them against Burnley in all honesty. So I think my actual bench would be Dubravka against Leeds, which is obviously a good fixture, but then I have Rodon and Stack, Anderson against Arsenal, Njai and Tarkowski against City away. Now, I might start Njai over Stack. I don't think it matters too much. But all of that to say, one of them is going to be Tarkowski and one of them is going to be Anderson against Arsenal and City. Now, what you would say is Dubravka has a chance for a clean sheet here, and Anderson and Tarkowski will almost, in fact, I can almost guarantee they will get DEFCON in those games, but probably concede. So you're probably looking at, let's say Dubravka makes a few saves, but no clean sheets. 3, 3, 3, maybe a 4 in there for one of them. So we're probably looking at like 9 or 10, and then Njai or Stack could get you, I don't know, let's just say appearance points, worst case. I think you're probably looking at a 10 to 12 point floor with that bench boost, assuming that all of your players play. But I don't see the ceiling as being that high in 8. If I look at Game Week 9, I certainly think the fixtures look better for the bench boost, which is Dubravka against Wolves. I think I would have Rodon and Stack on the bench against West Ham at home, and then Anderson against Newcastle away. But is that much better than what you can see in 7? I don't think it necessarily is. Like, the fixture for Leeds is a bit better, but you'd say maybe the fixture is slightly better for Anderson here. And then Dubravka, I suppose it is probably better, I would say, in 9 than it is in 7. But in terms of, like, the ceiling, I don't know that it's drastically higher here, especially, of course, with Nuno taking over at West Ham. By this point, they might be playing fantastic football, and that might not look as great of a fixture. The only other option then, 10... I'm just not feeling massively, mainly because Dubravka has Arsenal, but Senesi also has got Manchester City too. It just doesn't quite line up. Although, again, Senesi against City will get DEFCON, Stack has Brighton, 10's an option, but really the week that I'm looking at is Game Week 11. Dubravka against West Ham, Senesi against Villa, and then Rodon and Stack against Forest, who under Ange so far have not really massively impressed me. If I was to select the week where I think it looks best, it would probably be 11, but that is a long way in the future. What happens if I pick up issues? Do I want to start having to make transfers for the bench boost? Should I not just get it out the way now? Which means that if I make transfers moving forward, I know for a fact that it's for my starting 11. Like, is this bench that much better in 11, 9, or 8 that it's worth waiting? Should I just get it done now? I just know if I play it this week and Dubravka concedes as I expect, Anderson and Rodon both concede, but get DEFCON and Stack blanks. Like, that would be my prediction right now. Dubravka 2 would be my prediction. Maybe, no, let's say Dubravka, 2. I reckon they'll concede 2 goals. He'll make 3 saves. So Dubravka 2. I think Anderson will get 3. I think he'll get DEFCON but concede 2+. I think Rodon will concede 2+ and maybe get DEFCON. So I think like 2, 3, 3, and I think Stack probably blanks. So that's a 10-point bench boost. I'd be disappointed with 10. I'd like to try and aim for 14 to 16, ideally, if possible. Anything more than that is, of course, a bonus. So, at the end of the day, does it really matter? This is what I think. Like, I'm talking about, I want 12, 14 points rather than 10. It's just like, FPL is a game of luck. If I get lucky in the week I play it, so be it. Otherwise, yeah, I'm a few points down on those that had a slightly more successful bench boost. I think triple captain, I will just probably wait for a better fixture. As much as I do think Haaland could once again go nuclear, I'll probably delay it a little bit. And it might even be that another player crops up. Maybe Cole Palmer comes back to full fitness and looks great, and I go him instead for a bit more of a differential punt. I think bench boost is probably more likely for me at the moment than triple captain. So there we go. Now that you've seen my team in its entirety, you've seen other future bench boost opportunities, let me know what you would do with my team. We'll go back to the sort of main graphic here in terms of triple captain, bench boost, benching decisions. I think most people would agree that this could be a roll this week. And then, yeah, post-international break, we'll discuss the possibility of selling Fernandes and where we might redistribute the funds after that. But let me know what your plans are. yeah, let me know what you think of the team. So guys, there you have it. That is my Game Week 7 team selection with a bit of a chat around chip strategy as well. For those of us with lots of chips, we have possibilities, but sometimes they can cause headaches too. Thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate it. If you've got to this point and you're not yet subscribed, please do subscribe. Also smash that like button. Let's aim for 2,000 likes. But until next time, which will be deadline decisions and a deadline stream tomorrow, thank you very much. Bye-bye.